Hello there, I'm the pop culture alcoholic, and welcome to another one of my analytical slammers! Now, if I hadn't already made it clear over the years, I'm something of a Doctor Who fan.
Right, me fellow Whovians? Massively recommend. I've one of the greatest TV series in existence!
Specifically, the Russell T Davies era, and though I usually only ever come online to rant about things that I have problems with...
You are a liar, sir! A lying, money-grabbing cat! Fuck you. God damn it! Right, okay.
On this occasion, I actually really want to talk about something I actually really quite like, and I'm going to be doing it once again through one of my favourite areas of philosophy, absurdism. The reason why David Tennant's run as the Doctor is my favourite, as I'm sure it is for many, is that David Tennant was not only the Doctor when I began watching the show, but the one I connected with most on the human level. And it is undeniable that Davies chose to focus on the experience of being the Doctor from the perspective of a human character in a way no writer of the show had done before. By the way, spoiler alert ahead of time if you haven't found the time to watch these yet, or one of 30,000 other Doctor Who analyses on YouTube. The 10th Doctor begins and ends his reign considering his consciousness, his being, as separate from the incarnations that came before him much more vividly than any previous Doctor did.
And it's brand new to me. All those planets, creatures and horizons, I haven't seen them yet.
Everything I am dies. Some new man goes sauntering away.
I really enjoy how clearly defined this was made in this first appearance because it shows how vividly the different incarnations are from each other. Because when the Doctor regenerates, it completely alters his neural makeup, which causes him to have a different personality. But it could also be argued that he is, in essence, as reflected on later in the series, a new person entirely. And that is also a good reflection of how we are each individually as people constantly changing over time, because we are all, like the Doctor, constantly changing our neural makeup as we learn things and we grow and we get new memories.
So basically, in every moment I'm evolving, just like you.
Wow. That's really weird.
And when this new person is first born or created, he is rejected by Rose Tyler, his companion, and is seen to be defensive about it.
Can you change back?
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Oh.
He is living and can't help but want to be alive, to fear losing this self that he is, despite only just becoming this new man. It's like you can imagine suddenly being born with a fully developed adult ego and this desire towards life and bias towards your own existence, not out of choice but through instinct. And that's just a beautiful metaphor about how we are all subject to that human bias and that human will to live. He is also a more flawed Doctor than any that came before, at least while still being likeable and actually recognising the character as flawed, being enthusiastically enamoured with horrific things happening to people around him, as well as charming and egotistical, and, on some level, seeing himself as the hero with a moral duty as the only person who can save the human race.
And if you don't like it, if you want to take it to a higher authority, there isn't one. It stops with me. Right now, because you need me, all of you. If we're going to get out of this, then you need me.
This is all really nicely supported by a theory that I heard somewhere online that the Doctor's regenerations are subconsciously impacted by how his thoughts at the time right before he regenerates, and that the idea was that right before he regenerated into his 10th body, David Tennant, that he had just realised that he was in love with Rose Tyler and therefore wanted to become this dashing hero for her to fall in love with. And that's a really interesting idea of what that does to somebody after they lose the person who they create themselves to be for. He spends the entirety of his run in emotional agony, losing and gaining and losing people again and again. He strives to be self-sacrificial, let go of his ego, his possessiveness, his need for survival in order to be able to be the noble hero he thinks of himself to be, to the point of essentially constantly trying to kill himself to save the day. But his humanity, or sometimes convenient sacrifices from other characters, forever stands in the way. When it finally comes time for his death, he becomes afraid, does everything to escape it. When it becomes inevitable, he bitches about it. He attempts to reflect on the positive impacts that his life had, and then, even at the absolute emotional height of the series, when we have to finally say goodbye to the Doctor many come to love, including himself, and when he can finally prove his strength as this detached alien, this superior creature, this self-sacrificial figure, he fails. He shows the weakness of a man before tragically going not so quietly into that night. Brilliant. Just brilliant. Throw on top Tennant's wonderful performance as the absolute king of smiling through sadness, and you have a recipe for an amazing series. But enough nerding out. Why is this relevant to absurdist philosophy? Well, I want to narrow things down to Series 4 of the show, which I think contains an amazing revolution for the character, and I want to contemplate this as a reflection of the Camus image of the myth of Sisyphus. The Myth of Sisyphus is a book in which Camus discusses whether or not anyone has any reason to live in a world where any struggle to create anything inevitably fails, all efforts fading with time, lacking any objective value. Like Sisyphus, you can make an effort over and over again to change things, but inevitably the boulder rolls back down the hill and one is left where one started. But then all that being true, why carry on? Well, according to Camus, to take destiny and fate out of the hands of the gods and back into the hands of man, I can make reason and joy out of my life without it being handed to me by religion or any kind of divorce from my honest observation of the world around me. So where is this in Doctor Who? Well, Series 4 opens with the Doctor, I think, at his peak. He has just let go of another companion who left him for good reason, his emotional detachment after losing Rose. At his most base, he is free of regret and mourning, but forgets how he is trapped within the cycle of losing things due to his immortality. He moves forwards optimistically, without fear, but there's still this sense of isolation, like a widower coming towards moving on after losing his wife. Then he reunites with an old friend, Donna. Finally, someone with whom he can definitely rule out any kind of sexual connection. His first true friend since the series reboot, unadulterated by romantic feeling. Furthermore, she is able to control the Doctor and appeal to him emotionally in a way no companion has since Rose. Over the course of this entire series, the Doctor manages to commit a genocide, out of the genocide of his own species at his own hand, has the worst of humanity exposed to him on a space bus where the passengers conspire to kill him, has his deepest character flaws exposed to him by those same people and his arch nemesis, comes to terms with his own demons before gaining a family, reclaiming his lost love only to immediately lose her again, and then has every single person in his life leave him. Jesus!
Phil, that's fine. I'm fine.
And then this series ends in the most understated way since the series revival. No twist, no teaser campaign, just the Doctor walking around the TARDIS console, wet from the rain like Sisyphus, right back where he started. Alone, destroyed by the loss of all the human things he had to make his life meaningful. He leans resolutely on the controls, stares at the camera, and that's it. The end. You don't get much more absurd than that. Just traveling on, no matter how painful the emotions may be, just moving forwards, knowing that things can still potentially get better. Imagine what's going on in the Doctor's head in this scene. So, here we are again, all of forever to choose from, and yet I've lost so much. There's just no escaping it. I can hope that I meet more nice people to lose. Can I only go on out of a sense of duty? Only I can harness this technology. Only I can fly the TARDIS. Will I feel happiness again? I know I will, but I just can't feel it. And that is why I think this is worth talking about on the par with the myth of Sisyphus, because this is the one Doctor who summarizes that idea, at least in this incarnation, of always moving forward without forgetting, knowing that life is defined by a series of pains and loss and constantly moving forwards and beginning that cycle again and again, and not having that completely ruin us.
It's always something worth living for, Martha.
Because we all lose constantly in life. It's the finite nature of things that gives them value, but that doesn't mean that we should just never commit ourselves to feeling that. We need to invest in order to feel love, in order to feel pain afterwards, to show that that love was real. We make ourselves vulnerable when we invest into our existences.
Still it'll pass. Everything does.
Just like the Doctor, we are all the only ones who had this opportunity to pilot this machine, to live the life that we have. It's not going to be used better by somebody else. It's not going to go anywhere else without us being there to live it. We have something of a moral duty to actually use the potential that we have, even if it's to feel pain. There's still the potential to do good things in time. And going forward is always about exploring possibilities and new potential, not trying desperately to preserve things. And to be honest, that's kind of all I've got to say on the matter for now. It's not really much of an intellectual analysis, I know, but what I really want to say is just that Doctor Who can help people through a depression, because for me, it did, alongside Albert Camus. And so I guess what I really had to do this video for is to say thank you to Russell T Davies and everything else that made that everyone else that made that TV series possible, because it helps remind me to go forwards into the future with hope and be able to bear through pains and seize the opportunity of living. And I think those are all really positive things. And I hope that we all take these on board and that we can all go forwards into this universe of mystery with optimism and with hope for a positive future. I'm the Pop Culture Alcoholic, and if you enjoyed watching this, please do leave me a like or a comment or subscribe, all of that stuff. I really look forward to seeing you at the next one. Bye.